Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Ask a Fractional Q&A. I'm Dave Bonfilio. I'm a fractional VP of Sales, and with me is obviously most weeks is Corey Hanscom, who is a fractional CMO. We have a guest today, however, and we're going to be talking digital transformation, a subject that I find actually pretty fascinating, given how businesses really struggle with trying to figure out how to digitize their processes and create more streamlined technology. Our guest today is Monica Swanson. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Okay, Monica, we're going to talk digital transformation. Your background is actually you've worked with big companies, you've worked in the HR space, and now you are sort of, I guess, embarking or in the middle of this work, trying to help companies with their digital transformation. So, um, could you get us started with what are companies doing wrong with that? Or actually, tell us about your business. Tell us about what digital transformation is, and we'll take it from there. Let's start. Let's start there.
Excellent. Yes. So, my background, I have always been a technologist in my heart here, even when I was in the business. So, I had started as a systems architect and then moved into some HR roles where I was still doing more of technology innovation in those spaces. So, when I started my business, again, that my true core, what I really want to do is technology. And taking that experience that I had in those large global corporate environments and focusing more on medium sized businesses that are in their growth trajectory. And I know that there's a lot of focus on your core business and you accidentally neglect your technology. And that's a huge opportunity for time and money savings. So that's my aspiration. And I realize digital transformation is probably not a term that they use, but what it's really about is modernizing your IT to meet your current and future business needs. So then quite often, your business, your trajectory, like what you want to do in the future, and then here's your technology, and there's a gap. And how do you close that? You can call it modernizing digital transformation, but that's really my sweet spot.
Hi, Monica. Can you walk us through an example of where you helped a business navigate a successful transformation?
Absolutely. I think that one of the keys is that digital transformation is not an IT initiative, it's a business initiative. So it's really aligning your technology to your business. And the most successful business transformations happen when you align people, technology, and processes. So the best technology in the world isn't going to meet your needs if it's not aligned with your business processes and your people. So I've had some people ask me as well, like, here's a list of my technology, and this is my company. Does that look right? And I can't answer that. It could be, or perhaps it's not. I'm guessing that there's opportunities there to better align their processes and the people if they're asking me that question. I would never start with just technology alone. I think that is a huge mistake when somebody, let's say an ERP or a CRM, if they just want to, hey, let me get that product and let me implement it. Well, implement it how? Implement it why? That is your business side of things. So aligning, starting with that process side of, again, here's where you are, here's where you want to go. And then understanding then how do you probably improve your processes first and then implement your technology aligned with that.
Monica, I was going to ask you, or just to talk a little bit about what the big problems or the mistakes that companies make in this. And I think that one of the things that I think I see, maybe I even do myself, is that I focus attention on the vendor. I pay attention to the price, and then I figure out, well, does this fit my need, right? And I'm thinking, if what I'm hearing from you is if I'm right, you're saying no, that's flip, right? You got to start with the business, figure out what you needs are, and then pursue the appropriate vendor. Am I right there?
Yes. Yeah, you're right, David. Go for it. You got it. No, but I'd love to help with those types of situations. It is, again, picking out a vendor product. What are you basing that on? So you probably know high level what you're doing, and that's really your business requirements. But making sure you document those requirements, and it does not have to be this huge laborious process to document your business requirements, but document them so that way it's think about that as your North Star, right? So then that's how you're going to pick the right product. If you're evaluating multiple products, align that to those business requirements. And then I think another key step that's quite often missed is benchmarking and demos aligned with those business processes. So if you're going to ask a vendor, can you meet this requirement, that requirement? I mean, chances are the answer is going to be yes, right? They're like, yeah, we can do that. Well, if you peel back the layers on what that really is, that's the differentiator on your business requirement. So can you integrate with, this product with with our ABC system? Sure, we do integrations. We can do that. Well, then you start understanding. Well, what you really need are these specific fields, or these um, process points. Like when this happens, what you really need to do is understand those key differentiators of these are the data points, these are the process points, this is how I need my integration to work. And then I would ask the vendor to demo that. So that's that understanding benchmarks, talk to other customers, and then that next level of detail. I think a missing point, David, when you're talking about getting the vendor, have that vendor invested in your success, and that's a lot of the contract management, the details, your service level agreements. I have a lot of experience in vendor management, and it is of course they want you to renew. Well, why? They want you to renew because you love the product, because you're having success. You'll then be an advocate. I have a lot of experience in that area, and I think there's definite possibilities here for people to manage their contracts and their vendors better.
As I think of every function in a business, there's operations, there's finance, there's manufacturing, maybe supply chain, there's marketing, there's sales. When we're talking about digital transformation, do you cover every one of those functions, or are there some that you like to stay in and others that you stay out of, like maybe finance?
How do I specialize? And when you're in a large global environment, you typically have to specialize. And a lot of my experiences in human resources, so a lot of the modernizing HR. But I started thinking through, like, what does digital transformation mean? How do I address that? Where do I think I'm a differentiator? And as I started documenting that, I thought, this is relevant regardless of the business area. So I feel if it's finance, HR, all of those, the expertise I'm bringing is still applicable to that. And one area that I have not gotten into, and I would be hesitant, is more the product development side of things. I did that early in my career, but um, I'd be hard pressed to step into that unless somebody could, explain. Maybe if they're building an HR product, then I'd have the confidence to do it. But otherwise, I think, kind of more your internal business systems, how you run, and that's a little bit more industry agnostic. That's my comfort area.
What might be some triggers that a company is facing to where they might think, "Oh my goodness, we need a Monica to come in and help us"?
I built an IT health check, and I'd be happy to send that to people. It's available on my website, but I'm asking 6 key questions. Um, One question that seems to stumble people a lot is, do you have data for data driven decisions? If you're not getting that type of data out of your business systems, then you probably don't really know what's going on in your business systems and how to make some of the decisions. But that's just one example, Corey, of it. I feel most people know, like, I'm not efficient. I'm wasting time. I'm wasting money. I don't know. Typically, when I'm having conversations, it's numerous things that are happening in the business. Of, I don't like this product. The vendor it isn't great. I don't know if I should dump it. I feel like I'm spending too much on this product. Do I upgrade or dump it? Do I, my CRM isn't connected, and by connected for me that means an integration, like a system integration. But when you don't have connectivity between your systems, if you don't have the right data, if you're spending a lot of time on manual processes, that's a key, definitely, because this is where, let's understand your business processes. Can those be, a bit more efficient? and then how do we, automate those or get those working better from a tech perspective.
How long is an engagement typically? Do you do like a project and then hang on as a retainer, or what's the structure look like?
I find that if people aren't familiar with fractional work, if they don't already have fractionals, then it's usually project based work, and typically there's ambiguity on like what's going on, what do I do? So it will most often start with an assessment. And the depth of the assessment is probably a little bit more of the question mark depending on that organization's awareness. Have they already investigated some of these? But it will typically start with an assessment, and then I can lay out more of a roadmap. It might. I would suspect that whatever technology is bugging you the most, might be your hotspot for the transformation. It might not. It might be, well, that's going to be a bit more difficult to transform unless we start with something. Let's say, an integration. If you can, fix up this process and integrate it, you're going to have data flowing, and then this will now enable. So that means the second domino that we want to address, that to make that drop for your business efficiency would be X, and I can drive at that by having those conversations with business leaders, talking about their business challenges, what's working, what's not, and then aligning that with their technology and coming up with more of a roadmap approach.
This is a sales related question, but what is it about CRMs that is so hard to get like sellers to cooperate with? Like, in other words, CRMs in concept are so good and so important, and I love them. But getting salespeople to sort of use them the way they're supposed to be used can be a challenge. Do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So remember, I mentioned earlier, it's people, process, and technology, right? So the technology, the CRM, how is that working? The process and the people side of things. Perhaps some of the processes need to be updated. Like say, you, David, are using process ABC and Corey's using process 1, 2, 3. Why is that? Is there a way to make that any more efficient? And then from a business point of view, and then the education, because maybe the process needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, D, whatever we want to say. But once we lay that out, then it's the education. It's enabling that. Like once like, okay, David, I know you don't, understand the D process, but here's why. And then you're like, oh, so if I do that, then next month you'll be able to give me a report on on this product or on this customer or what. You're like, yes, exactly. So I realize that might be a thorn for you in the process, but then you start understanding the business value of, that's why I use the data that's this way, that's why these are my trigger processes, and can we fix the technology to make that easier? Because if you have to do this, that, and then, oh my gosh, to get to that final process, I have to back out, I have to click into this, I have to, oh my gosh, and I have to manually enter. And it was, let's fix the technology so it's more of a flow. And then you are all understanding the process is now 1, 2, 3, D, and this is what's happening in the system. It's now better enabled. But that's an example of people, process, technology. Make the technology work according to what you need in the business, enable those processes. Some of it's business, some of it's tech, and then educate, change management in order to have that come to life.
Monica, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insights into this really important and interesting topic for businesses as they navigate, the next generations of technology and how that helps, with their business. So, and to those of you watching, thank you for that. We appreciate that. Please feel free to join us on our LinkedIn page at Ask a Fractional. For Corey Hanscom, I'm Dave Bonfilio. Monica, thank you for your time, and we will see you all soon.